Marta Kauffman, who's the creator of what I think next to Seinfeld maybe at least is the second most overrated sitcom of all time, Friends. She's been on an apology tour recently, and I'm not exactly sure why she's been doing this now in particular. I don't know I guess she has something she's promoting. She's got another show coming out. I don't know that exactly, but I can only assume that she's got something else she's working on, and so she wants to set things right with the woke brigade. So she's been going around trying to right all of the unwoke wrongs that her series committed somehow back in the 90s. Now, I was never, as noted, never a big fan of Friends. I've seen a few of the episodes. It always struck me, even in the 90s, as pretty politically correct. Okay, it never would have occurred to me that there's anything offensive to the left in Friends, but apparently there is. There's quite a lot. So for the last few weeks, she's been going around apologizing for all of the various groups that were hurt by Friends somehow in an effort to become an ally now. So we'll start with this. She appeared on Talk TV. This was at the end of June, a couple weeks ago, to talk about the racism on her show. I had no idea there was racism, but there was, as she confesses here, but she's going to set things right. And listen to this.
It took me a long time to begin to understand how I internalized systemic racism. And I've been working really, really hard to become an ally, anti-racist. And this seemed to me to be a way that I could participate in the conversation from a white woman's perspective. I hope it becomes the leading AAAS department in the country. I hope that this department gets everything it needs financially and can continue to engage students. And I hope it widens.
Okay, so one thing she's been doing for the last, I don't know exactly everything she's been up to since Friends went off the air, but it's very clear that she's been studying wokeness, and she's been studying it closely because she knows, she speaks the language now. She had it all down, do the work, participate in the conversation, all this kind of stuff. It's still not clear to me. So what exactly was racist about Friends? It's not clear. I guess it's because there weren't enough black actors on the show, and so it erased. Apparently, this, at least I've learned. I can assume this is what she's talking about because this is what I've seen from other left people on social media, that Friends erased black people by not having enough of them on the sitcom. So I don't know, if you are a black person, you might not even realize that you were erased by a sitcom in the 90s, but you were. And if you don't feel harmed and damaged by that, you should. This, even according to the co-creator of the show, she even says that. So now she's pledging it's $4 million to support African and African American studies. So she's trying to heal the racial wounds created by Friends because of that. But it's not just racial wounds. Look, anytime there's an occasion where someone is a victim, we know that that the trans club, they're gonna find their way in to that conversation. Okay, nobody in this country is allowed to be a victim by themselves without including trans people. Trans people are also victims. If you think you're a victim, there's always going to be the trans club coming right behind to say, no, me too. Oh yeah, I'm also a victim of this. So she appeared on BBC last night in an interview to confess to various pronoun-related atrocities. Let's listen to that.
Criticism it's difficult. I mean, Friends has been criticized in a number of ways. The biggest one being that we did not have enough representation of Black people. And over the course of the last few years, I have gotten to the point where I can say, unfortunately, yes, I'm guilty of that. I am guilty of that. And I'll never make that mistake again. I was clearly part of systemic racism in our business. I was unaware of that, which makes me feel stupid. So yeah, that was a very valid, extremely difficult criticism, which still I get emotional about. If I knew then what I know now, there are certain things I would have changed. But I didn't know them, and I have since learned. Here's one. We kept referring to her as Chandler's father, even though Chandler's father was trans. Pronouns were not yet something that I understood, so we didn't refer to that character as she.
Oh, she's getting emotional. She's getting choked up. She's still, 20 years later, she's still crying about the fact. She's distraught because there weren't enough black actors in Friends, and also because she misgendered, who is it, Chandler's trans dad? Is that what it was? So that's why you would think that the left would celebrate Friends for being ahead of its time. I didn't even realize this until just now. But so one of the characters on Friends had a cross-dressing or trans or whatever parent. So you'd think that the left would be celebrating it and say it was ahead of its time in the 90s to have that kind of character. But no, because even though it was ahead of its time, it still had not yet caught, because it existed in the past. It wasn't aligned with what people are saying and doing in the year 2022, which is just an unforgivable sin. And so atonement must be made. And that's what she's doing now. It's no surprise to see this, especially from people in Hollywood. In order to find success in Hollywood to begin with, you have to empty yourself. Most of the time, you have to empty yourself of, any real personality, any real convictions, and you just become this empty shell of a human being. And that's why she has no problem. I mean, anyone else, I think, if you had like a spine and a soul, you would at least be embarrassed to be doing this apology tour for a sitcom that you made 30 years ago. But she has none of that. There's no dignity, so there's nothing to worry about for her. Well, if you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to get more content like it. If you're craving more content, go watch or listen to my full show at dailywire.com, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.